Do we need to break up the front three? Who do we find for that Gini Wijnaldum replacement? Because I'm not buying anyone saying Curtis Jones, because to me, Curtis Jones was the Lallana replacement in my head. I mean, that's the squad spot he filled for me. So there is cyclical nature to football. There is a cyclical nature, and we spoke about this before. 3-4 years at the very top level, players burnt out, players reaching the peak of their careers. And I was just on another stream, and this topic came up, and I gave my honest opinion, and it always shocks people. But I'd love to know, maybe from Steve first, do you think it's time to break up the front three, and what does Klopp need and deserve to be done in the summer to add to this group?
The front three. Well, I mean, they're all not too far off 30, aren't they? Now they're all. I think Salah's 28. Is he the other two are 29, or something there or thereabouts? Anyway, so I don't know. That would feel a bit like a knee-jerk reaction to me, because I think there are other things at play here. It's not just that. The Wijnaldum one is an interesting one. I would have hoped. If you'd asked me at the start of the season, I'd have said it's a great opportunity for either Oxlade-Chamberlain or Naby Keita to step up, because they're not dissimilar players. And I not so much this season, but I've always thought that we're a better team when Oxlade-Chamberlain plays. He gives us that drive and that bravery, getting ahead of the ball, and I think he's been unlucky with injuries, but I think there's a really top player in there, and I think the same with Naby Keita as well. It's just whether or not he gets more than a couple of games in a row without getting injured. Going back to the original question, I think it's the time to add to the front three rather than necessarily split them up, because I think they just need a bit of help as opposed to being separated.
Yeah, the problem is, Jack, we know the way the club has been run, and I think deep down Steve may know that in order to fund that couple of replacements or that transition, it may well be a case of cashing in.
Yeah, the only way I see is refreshing that front three personally is if we see Mohamed Salah leave. And the reason I pinpoint Salah, this is a big talking point, but quite simply, the reason I pinpoint Salah is because he would probably make us the most money right now. It's as simple as that. If you're looking to refresh the front three, in my opinion right now, maybe we look to change the style. Maybe it's Firmino that goes. He's been a bit of a shadow of himself since the project restart, and since
this is heartbreaking, by the way.
It's soul destroying, especially when we're talking about Bobby, who is my favourite player. But I'm nodding in agreement with that.
He's my favourite player as well.
You know what the point is with Bobby, he's still so important to us, and you've seen, I'm talking about him being a shadow of himself, but we've been a shadow of ourselves the whole time he's had off games. And when we've looked back at our best this season, and when we've played at our best, you look at the Palace 7-0, Bobby Firmino was probably the best player on the pitch that day. West Ham and Tottenham, he looked a lot better as well. The Tottenham at Anfield, where who was it that popped up with the winner later on? It was Bobby Firmino. But I think there's been too often this season, and towards the end of last season too, where he just wasn't himself. But again, you look at our net spend and what FSG are likely to do. If we're going to refresh that front three, it's highly likely it'll be Salah that they look to move on. And that's disappointing, and for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if, like Steve said, we add to it and we improve our bench options. I think we need a bit of a clear out in the summer. There's quite a lot of dead wood. I've openly said before, there's quite a lot of dead wood in this squad. You only have to look at the players we've got out on loan that we've been trying to get rid of for years. Shaqiri looks like he's going to leave every window, but ends up staying. Origi too. Players like Nat Phillips, who I think we've actually probably increased his value this season with the amount of game time he's got, when nobody expected him to get that this season. But I think he'd be perfect for a side like Burnley as a backup centre half for them or something. I think he'd be decent for that, or even the Championship. There'll be some big Championship clubs that want to bring him in, because I think he's perfect for that league. But for me, it's not necessarily refreshing that front three and getting rid of that front three. But I do think we need a new style. Something needs to change, and whether we need to bring in players like Rafinha from Leeds to put pressure on that front three. And to
I
be
seen your Rafinha love tweet the other day.
I think he's an outstanding player. You know, that roulette to beat Gary Cahill yesterday was just orgasmic, Craig. You know, it was sensational. But yeah, there's something needs to change, and I think a big part of this is lots of these players are knackered right now, and you look to the summer when many of them are going to be playing in the European Championships, or many of them are going to be recovering from long-term injuries. It's going to be very, very interesting this summer for Liverpool Football Club. But right now, the important thing before we look at any transfers is we need Champions League football, because we're not going to be able to bring in players that we want to be playing for Liverpool, or even keep players. Some players will want to leave if we don't get Champions League football.